There are some videos that once you watch them, you can't forget. Not because they're beautiful, funny, or special, but because they leave something haunting inside you. A vague sense that you've just witnessed something you shouldn't have. Welcome to Darkness Tells, where we recount real events captured on video before things went too bad and there was no turning back. This isn't an ordinary list. This is an iceberg of cursed moments where the camera isn't just a witness, it's a portal to something not of this world. We start at the surface level, where things still hold the veneer of possibility. But as you dig deeper, you'll realize that the line between seeing and being seen is thinner than you think. Many of the people in these videos never resurface. Some disappeared, some died shortly after they finished recording, and some perhaps were no longer themselves. We do not recommend watching the following parts when you are alone, especially late at night. The images, sounds, even the eyes from the videos may haunt you in ways you cannot imagine. And if you want to continue accompanying us on our journey down to the deepest levels of truth and horror, hit like, subscribe to Darkness Tells, and turn on the notification bell. Not because we want more views, but because you don't want to miss the next level when the truth starts to crumble. Brace yourself. Take a deep breath. We are starting. Level 7. The unknown level. When reality disintegrates. In a final look, when all the upper layers have been penetrated, when the soul is broken and the body is torn apart, we are no longer falling, but floating in a nameless space. The story opens in the Italian Alps, where the ice holds the last whispers of survivors. Elia Kessler, a 24-year-old mountaineer and freestyle skier, went on a ski trip with 3 of his best friends he grew up with in a small village at the foot of the Dolomites Mountains. But that morning, only 3 of them returned. The GoPro camera mounted on Elia's helmet later became the only evidence of a moment that left everyone frozen, not just by the cold, but by something the group did not expect. The video begins with a familiar image: wind blowing through snow-covered trees, the soft gliding of skis on powdery snow. Elia leads the way, excited, shouting, "You've never seen snow like this, have you?" But just 23 seconds later, a scream, a screech, then a white void. No one knew what had happened until the video was played back. Elia had plunged into an ice crevasse, a death scythe hidden under the pure white snow. He fell straight down a crevasse nearly 20 meters deep. The moment his skis were stuck between 2 ice walls, he heard a gasp, the wind howled, and Elia whispered, not a cry for help, but a sentence that was almost incomprehensible: "If I don't get out of here, don't leave me alone." 20 minutes later, his friends found him. They used ropes, ice spikes, and every piece of equipment they could find. They pulled Elia up, his leg badly broken, blood seeping through the snow, but alive, but not intact. 4 months later, Elia began to have trouble sleeping. Then came panic attacks for no apparent reason. "I feel like I'm still in that crevice," he told his therapist. And the most chilling part of it all was when Elia provided the evidence. The GoPro camera, which had been turned off after the accident, suddenly recorded a sound. One night in June at 2:14 a.m., the camera picked up a sound, a wind, a whisper. "Elia, stay here with us." Experts said it was a glitch, a repeating electromagnetic wave, but the sound didn't match any of the voices in the group. And the strangest thing of all, the frequency of the sound matched the frequency recorded in deep ice caves, where humans can't survive more than a few hours. No one was sure what was really happening in that crevice, but Elia, now a sleepwalker, stopped skiing, stopped climbing. He left the village with only one thing in his hand: an old leather diary inscribed with a scribble. "I saw my own face reflected in the ice, but it didn't blink when I blinked." The second story comes not from the mountains, but from the place where we feel safest: the laundromat. In a small town called Weltersheim in Germany, on May 16, 2023, a man named Johann Kruger walked into his usual laundromat. On a normal day, no one paid him any attention. But the video recording of the incident prompted the police to reopen the entire national safety inspection system. At 11:12 a.m., Johann left the shop with a clean bag of laundry, but just 6 seconds after he stepped out the door, the washing machine near the entrance exploded. The explosion was unlike any fire ever recorded. The thick glass doors shattered, and pieces of steel were thrown nearly 40 meters away. And strangely enough, on the security camera, the light emitted from the explosion had a swirling shape. The investigation later revealed that the cause was a lighter left in a trouser pocket, but the locals didn't believe it, because this was the third time in 6 months that a laundry exploded, and on all three occasions a silver-haired man about 1 meter 8 tall was present at the scene just minutes before the explosion. Johann's photo was released. He had no silver hair, but the locals said they saw such a person walking next to him before he left. Even stranger, in the video from another camera angle, there was a single frame lasting only 0.2 seconds, showing the glass entrance reflecting two silhouettes, but only one person was present at the actual scene. Who was the second person? And finally, the story of subjectivity paid for by the sound of broken bones. At a climbing center in Osaka, Japan, a 20-year-old man named Minato is training for a national sports competition. He is confident, having won many youth championships. In the video recording of the training session, which Minato himself installed to evaluate his technique, everything goes smoothly. He climbs high, moves quickly and professionally. But what no one expected, he forgot to attach a safety hook to the rope. Minato jumps to simulate a fall in the competition and plummets from a height of 13 meters. The sound of the impact makes the witnesses cover their mouths, not daring to scream. He lies motionless for 6 seconds, but Minato lives. His pelvis is broken, both legs are broken. It takes him 11 months to walk again. And during that time in the hospital, Minato recounts what made people most uncomfortable. I didn't see myself falling. I saw another version of myself, climbing. After the sudden death of a young girl named Emily in the small town of Ravenswood, the atmosphere here became heavier and darker than ever. People began to whisper about strange phenomena occurring around the crime scene, strange noises at night, shadows passing by windows, and the feeling of being watched made everyone live in fear. Detective Sarah, who was assigned to investigate the case, clearly felt the unease spreading throughout the town. She began to learn about Emily's past and discovered that this young girl had participated in a paranormal research group at the university. This group had performed a seance ritual at an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Vietjack Sarah decided to go to that house to find out more. As she enters, she feels a chill envelop her. The walls are rotten, the floors creak under her feet, and the musty smell makes her shiver. In a small room, she finds an old notebook, inside which she writes down the details of a seance ritual Emily's group had performed. The notebook reveals that the ritual was not as successful as expected. Instead of summoning the spirits of their loved ones, they accidentally opened a door to another world where dark entities exist. One of the group members becomes possessed by an entity and begins to act strangely before disappearing without a trace. Article Sarah shivers as she reads the final scribbled words in the notebook. We made a mistake. They are coming. No one is safe. Back in town, Sarah notices that people who participated in the ritual with Emily begin to have strange accidents or mysteriously disappear. She realized that she was dealing with a force beyond human understanding. One stormy night, Sarah received a call from a strange woman claiming to be the mother of a member of the research team. She begged Sarah for help, saying that her daughter was haunted by nightmares and showing signs of being possessed by an entity. Sarah went to the woman's house and witnessed a horrifying scene. The young girl lay on the bed, eyes wide open, her mouth mumbling incomprehensible words, her body convulsing violently. The air in the room was heavy, as if an invisible presence was watching. Sarah decided to seek out a paranormal expert to learn more. The old man, who used to be a professor at the university, confirmed that the ritual Emily's group performed may have opened a door to another dimension, where dark entities existed and sought to infiltrate the human world. He warned that if the door was not closed, these entities would continue to spread and cause more deaths. Sarah knew that she had to act quickly to prevent a disaster. She, along with the professor and a group of volunteers, decided to perform a sealing ritual at the abandoned house where it all began. In the dark of night, under the flickering light of candles, they began the ritual. But as soon as the ritual began, strange phenomena occurred. Strong winds blew, whispers were heard from all directions, and the darkness seemed to come to life. One member of the group was pulled into the darkness and disappeared without a trace. Sarah felt an invisible force trying to prevent them from completing the ritual. But with courage and determination, she continued to recite the final incantations. When the final incantation was finished, a powerful light burst forth, dispelling the darkness and returning peace to the house. The door to the other world had been closed. However, Sarah knew that the consequences of the first ritual were still there. Dark entities had left their mark on the human world, and she had to remain vigilant to protect the town from future threats. We often say that a moment of carelessness, a lifetime of payment. But what you are about to see is not just the price of carelessness. It is where human emotions, beliefs, expectations, regrets disintegrate in an instant. A moment captured by the lens by people who had no idea that they were standing right on the border between life and death. 1. Sydney Thomas, the suspended bridge incident. On March 1, 2024, Sydney Thomas, a single mother, woke up like any other day. She drove her truck across the Clark Memorial Bridge in Louisville. On the calm Ohio lake, the blue water reflected the sunlight like a gentle morning greeting. But then there was a loud bang. A pickup truck lost control and crashed into the front of her car. It all took 3 seconds. 3 seconds later, the truck was thrown off the road, the front of the car hanging in the air, only the cable holding it. The dashcam recorded Sydney's desperate screams as she clutched the steering wheel, looking down at the deep water 100 feet below. She couldn't swim. No one knew how long Sydney had closed her eyes. But then a miracle happened. A firefighter, Bryce Carden, swung himself from the helicopter, fought the strong winds, reached the cabin and secured Sydney with a safety rope. The moment she was pulled from death was the moment that viewers and the cameraman cried. But what was even more terrifying was the man who caused the accident. I have been driving with a suspended license since last month, a stupid act that almost killed an innocent mother. 2. Lazar drowns. When an Olympic dream turns into a funeral. Lazar Draskovic, 28, is a famous CrossFit athlete from Serbia. On January 5, 2024, he participated in a competition in Texas. The jumps, the swims, the cheers from the stands left no doubt they were about to witness a tragedy. Lazar entered the 800-meter swim. The camera broadcast live from above, recording every powerful swing of his arms. But then, less than 100 meters from the finish line, the picture changed. He started swimming sideways, changing strokes, then stopping in midstream, waving his arms. The spectators thought he had just suffered a minor cramp, but what happened next left them speechless. Lazar sank, just for a second, then he never resurfaced. It took nearly 2 hours to find his body at the bottom of the lake. The next news bulletin was no longer a CrossFit result, but an obituary. People argued about safety standards, about responsibility, but the stark truth remained. Millions of people had watched a man drown live on screen, and no one did anything. 3. Washing machine accident, death timed by a lighter. March 14, 2023, in the town of Oran, Spain. An anonymous man went to the El Sudan laundromat. A security camera captured the image of him pulling the bag of clothes out of the washing machine, walking out of the store, when a terrible explosion tore through the facade. Slow motion shows, if he had been 7 seconds late, his body would have been torn to pieces. The cause, a lighter left in his pocket. The fire broke out from the dryer, activating the butane gas inside the lighter. The explosion shattered glass, bent steel. But the strange thing is, many people doubted this conclusion. Some said it smelled of industrial explosives, even a plot to erase traces. No one could verify that, but the explosion is still a chilling warning of trivial carelessness. Fourth, indoor climbing, a fall gone wrong because of a forgotten detail. February 2nd, 2024, at a climbing center in Gdansk, Poland. The young man, Nicholas, 22, was a passionate climber. He turned on his camera to record the competition simulation. Every step, every climb, everything went according to plan. Until the moment he let go, believing that the automatic fall arrest device was hooked to the safety rope, but there was no rope. The 50-foot fall silenced the entire center. The impact sounded like a small explosion. The person filming screamed. The instructor fell to his knees when he realized no one had checked the rope. Nicholas survived, but he broke his pelvis, his left leg, and his vertebrae. The video became proof that confidence can kill you faster than stupidity. 5. The bus disappeared into the ground. January 13th, 2020, in Xining, China. A bus was stopping to pick up passengers in front of a hospital when the road suddenly collapsed, without warning, no sign of cracking. In the blink of an eye, the front of the bus was swallowed. People standing nearby were sucked in. Security cameras recorded a gas explosion shortly after, a column of smoke rising high, screams drowned out by the sound of the collapse. A former policeman trying to pull a woman out of the hole was also swept away. A total of 6 people died, 16 were injured. The terrible thing is, the second explosion took place during the rescue. You may not believe it, but in the video, a woman can be heard saying, "Something is breathing down here." Just seconds before the ground exploded. 6. Death amid fireworks, Beirut, 2020. On August 4th, 2020, a video from a resident of Beirut recorded white smoke rising from a warehouse in the port. People thought it was just a normal fire until the fireworks exploded. And then, after 33 seconds, an apocalyptic explosion occurred. Shockwaves from the explosion shook the entire city, blew out windows miles away, killing 218 people and injuring 6,500. The cause was 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate stored illegally for many years. From a phone video, humanity witnessed one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history. 7. The woman live-streamed her own death. Helen Yabut, 24, a medical worker from Kenya, was live-streaming a relaxing swim in a hotel pool in Ontario, Canada. She smiled, waved to the audience, and swam into the deep end. In the video, people heard her softly calling, "Help, ... then silence. The live stream continued for 4 hours, a video, only of the calm blue water, and death happened like a small crack on the surface of the lake. When guests discovered her body at the bottom of the lake, the phone was still recording. It was not a fall, it wasn't an accident. It was a person trying to swim, and no one was there to help her. On May 26, 2024, on a journey in the middle of the ocean, the world-famous cruise ship Eclipse Harmony departed from the port of Miami, carrying nearly 5,000 passengers on a 7-day journey to explore the Caribbean. However, in what seemed like the most peaceful moment, a sunny afternoon, the sea as calm as a sheet, a man did the most unexpected thing, jumped from the 7th floor, falling straight into the pitch-black water. The ship's security cameras recorded the entire jump. He didn't run, didn't hesitate. He simply stepped over the railing as if a voice called from below, gentle but irresistible. The shocking truth was, no one knew who he was. The passenger list didn't match. All the rooms were full. No staff reported him missing. When rescuers found his body just hours later, his papers had been scraped off, his face disfigured by the impact with the ship's legs. What was his name? Where did he come from? Who put him on that ship? No one knew. And then the strangeness began. A passenger said he had seen the man, but in a recurring dream, 4 nights in a row, before the incident. Story 2. Social media can't save people. Helen M., a 24-year-old Kenyan nurse, was living in Canada temporarily for a short-term job. One weekend evening, she decided to relax in the pool at her motel and live-streamed on Facebook to chat with her relatives back home. In the nearly 4-hour video, which no one expected to become forensic evidence, Helen smiled, waded in the water, and waved. But just 15 minutes into the video, something happened. Helen, whether from fatigue, cramps, or the water being too deep, began to struggle. She waved her arms, a faint cry for help. No one came. No one in real life saw or heard her. The viewers of the livestream thought it was a joke. They reacted, sending laughing emojis. Some even commented, "Good acting, sis," until the underwater image faded, no more movement. Helen sank into silence, her phone still live-streaming from the edge of the pool, shivering in the cold wind. 4 hours later, the hotel staff discovered her body at the bottom of the pool. In a state of convulsions, her face still had a look of confusion. Story 3. Purple Sky and the Silent Pilot. On September 2, 2023, in a suburb of Mexico, a birthday party turned into a funeral. A family's unborn baby's gender reveal ceremony, a joyous moment, turned into a harrowing video. Luis Anel, 32, was the pilot hired to perform a low-flying gender reveal, a low-flying colored smoke from the wings to reveal whether the baby was a boy or a girl. People were filming, cheering, laughing. The plane swooped down, pink smoke from the wing, a girl. But the joy lasted less than 10 seconds. The left wing of the plane broke off. Luis tried to control the controls, but to no avail. The plane fell like a rock into the empty lot behind his house, right in front of family, friends, and even the baby's parents. Luis survived the crash. He was trapped, conscious, but he had lost too much blood. He died on the way to the hospital. The only person who couldn't celebrate the baby girl's birthday was the one who had painted the sky pink that day. Story 4. The smile on the face of a dying man. In a coastal area of Western Canada, an incident has haunted locals for years. The death of a 16-year-old boy named Trevor M. Trevor was known for his cheerful personality and his love of filming extreme sports. One fall day, he came up with the idea of skateboarding on a 30-meter-high seawall, recording the footage with a GoPro strapped to his chest. In the video, he grins and shouts to his friends, "Let's capture this epic moment." Seconds later, the skateboard wheels slide off the edge of the wall. Trevor loses his balance and falls to the rocks below. The camera continues to roll. Second by second, it records him convulsing, gasping for breath, eyes wide open, looking up at the sky. No one knows how much longer he will survive. Fall, just know that the smile is still clearly on his face through every last frame. Story 5. The murderer's angle in the dark. A surveillance camera became the sole witness to the incident. An elderly woman named Erica B., who lived in the suburbs of Edinburgh, Scotland, suffered from mild dementia due to old age. In December 2021, she went into a bank to withdraw money. The camera recorded her fumbling with the procedures, asking for answers over and over again. Another young woman in line, angry at the long wait, stepped forward and pushed her. Erica fell backward, hitting her head on the edge of the table. The camera recorded blood pouring from the back of her head onto the floor, while the other woman walked away without a care. Erica died 10 days later from intracranial trauma. The woman was sentenced to 16 months in prison for her violent behavior, but never apologized. The truth is not made for fun. All of these videos in some ways leave more than a shock. They show the extreme fragility of life and how we deal with it or don't deal with it. We watch them to feel alive, but it's also from them that we realize the final moment can come at any moment, whether it's a smile, a call out to someone, or simply when we're caught off guard. Level 3. Moments that lead to a terrifying death. When the cameras start rolling, no one knows what's being recorded will be the final moments of a life. No script, no acting, just time, and the end is near. This is the third of 7 levels of horror, where seemingly innocent moments suddenly become a prelude to destruction. The following videos are more than just images. They are a warning in blood, in silent screams, and in a final look of fear. 1. The Man on the Cliff, Spain, 2017. Javier Mendoza, an adventurous travel vlogger from Madrid, is famous for his videos of challenging himself in dangerous locations. During an Instagram livestream, he decided to film himself standing on the edge of a 300-meter cliff near the Costa Brava. As he raised his arms to greet his followers and laughed, a sudden gust of wind blew by. The camera fell first, and people heard a staccato scream and a heavy thud. The livestream stopped. The police only found Javier's phone, which had fallen on a cliff 80 meters from the edge. His body was discovered 3 days later, wedged between two rocks, his body so broken that it could not be identified without DNA. Row 2. The Last Dance, Japan, 2022. Aiko Tanaka, 19, is a college student who loves modern dance. During a rehearsal for the school festival, she and her friends filmed difficult moves on the rooftop of a 7-story dormitory. A twist too far makes her slip towards the railing. A laugh suddenly turns into a scream. The camera keeps rolling. She falls out of frame. Her friends scream. But the most haunting thing is not the scene of her fall, but the moment everyone runs to look down and everything goes silent. Suddenly, no one says a word. No one dares to touch their phones anymore. 3. Snowmobiles and the Unpredictable Ending, Austria, 2021. A family of 4 filmed themselves skiing down the Patscherkofel in the morning. The father, Hans Kreidel, holds the camera, recording his 2 daughters laughing in front. A peaceful scene until the video shakes violently. A scream is heard. Landslide. Avalanche. The screen shakes, then goes black. When the video is recovered from the damaged camera, people see white snow rolling up like a tsunami, engulfing the screen in just 0.3 seconds. The bodies of 3 people were found a week later. The youngest daughter, Sophia, 7, is still missing. 4. Clara's Life and Death Jump, Brazil, 2023. Clara Montero, a famous social media model, takes part in a challenge from an energy drink brand, bungee jumping from a 60-meter high bridge on the outskirts of São Paulo. As she counts down 3, 2, 1, all is well, until the bungee cord does not stop as it should. An error in the length of the cord causes Clara to hit her head hard on the ground. The sound of bones cracking through the microphone attached to her chest was enough to bring tears to anyone who saw it. Although doctors said she died instantly, the video went viral with millions of views. 5. Elevator Prank, South Korea, 2019. A group of students staged a shocking prank on their classmates, placing a hidden camera in the elevator and scaring one person with a spooky mannequin. However, the victim, Kim Ji-woon, 20, had a history of heart disease, which no one knew. The video captured the moment Ji-woon screamed, clutched her chest, and fell to the floor, convulsing. The laughter turned into screams. A friend quickly called an ambulance, but it was too late. Ji-woon died on the way to the hospital. This sparked a wave of protests against extreme pranks and led to 3 members of the group being prosecuted for causing death by involuntary manslaughter. 6. Slipping in the storm drunk, Greece, 2020. A drunk American tourist, Emily Carson, 28, decided to film herself walking on a hotel railing in Santorini at night under the moonlight. Her friends cheered in the background, but the video was cut short when she slipped and fell off the 5th floor. The camera landed next to her, capturing the last 4 seconds. There was no scream, just a heavy breath, then silence. 7. The Last Eyes, Russia, 2016. In a strange video found on the phone of an amateur cameraman named Anton Chervinsky, he is seen exploring an abandoned factory on the outskirts of Novosibirsk. Near the end of the video, Anton shines a flashlight into a dark corridor where a shadowy figure quickly passes by. He laughs, thinking it's a rat, but as he gets closer, the camera shakes violently, as if it's been snatched from his hand. A long scream, then it's over. Anton's body was found 6 days later in a windowless room. His neck was twisted at an unnatural angle. There was no sign of forced entry, no explanation for what had happened. These moments are not simply tragedies, they are living proof, pieces of a truth that people still try to deny. Death can come at any moment, even while the camera is still recording. And if you think you're just watching, you're probably wrong. Because once you've heard this, once this image is in your head, the memories of those deaths are shared, and like the hidden layers of ice in an iceberg, the scariest part is always the unseen part. Level 4, the level of despair. When hope drains. Every second. If level 3 is where death strikes suddenly like a knife from the darkness, level 4 is where people have to face the terrifying truth that they will die. There is no escape, only despair draining away every second. These videos don't just capture death, they capture the moment when people realize life is slipping away from them. 1. The Bridge of No Return, Romania, 2021. In March 2021, a newlywed couple, Andrei and Larisa Petrescu, decided to shoot a dramatic wedding video on an ancient suspension bridge spanning the Bicaz Gorge. While Larisa stood in the middle of the bridge in a pure white dress, Andrei flew a drone from the other end. But just seconds after the filming began, there was a cracking sound. The main steel wire of the bridge broke due to rust. The bridge shook violently before a section of the wooden floor was pulled down. Larisa, along with 2 cameramen standing nearby, disappeared into the 90-meter deep gorge. The drone recorded everything, including the image of Andrei falling to his knees, desperately screaming his wife's name in vain. 2. Beneath the Rock, Chile, 2020. A team of 3 cave explorers decide to explore an unrecorded cave system in the Andes. They are fully equipped with head cameras, GPS trackers, climbing ropes, and specialized equipment. About 180 meters into the mountain, the ceiling suddenly collapses. The camera of a character named Pablo also records 17 minutes after the collapse. In the flickering light, people can hear gasps, muffled screams for help. There is a haunting moment when Pablo holds the camera up, points it directly at his face, and whispers, "If anyone finds this, tell my mother I tried to come back." Their bodies are not found until 6 months later when winter has passed. 3. The Last Laugh, Canada, 2019. 3 teenagers play run and run in an abandoned shopping mall in Montreal. They set up cameras everywhere to record the journey. It all started with laughter and shouting. But by the 27th minute of the video, the laughter stopped. The main camera recorded a metal door, previously locked, suddenly opening. From there, footsteps that did not belong to anyone in the group could be heard. A girl named Sophie began to panic, whispering, "Someone is following us." At the end of the video, only a fallen camera remained, recording Sophie running unsteadily in the dark before a dark figure appeared just inches behind her. The lights went out. Silence. The other 2 were found with amnesia. Sophie was never found. 4. Bloody Arms, Australia, 2022. During a family picnic in the Blue Mountains, a 9-year-old boy named Noah played a treasure hunt video game on his mother's phone. A scream is heard as he accidentally reaches into the bushes where a highly venomous eastern brown snake is hiding. The painful thing is that the video continues to roll. Noah is seen crying, trying to call his mother, but white foam begins to form in his mouth. He collapses seconds later. The moment Noah's mother rushes to him, holding him in her arms and screaming for an ambulance, is one of the most heartbreaking images ever recorded. Noah died before reaching the hospital. His mother's phone and the video were seized for investigation, but the subsequent leak of the footage has left thousands of viewers unable to sleep for several nights. 5. The Signal That Can't Save Anything, India, 2021. A cruise ship on the Ganges River hosts a nighttime light show. While the screen, as the laser show unfolds, a young man named Varun livestreams the scene from the deck. As the light sweeps across the side of the ship, the camera shakes violently, the light dims, and then the screen goes black. The ship collides violently with a sandboat without signal lights, causing one side of the deck to collapse. Varone and more than 20 people fall into the murky water swept away by the strong current. The final video ends with an image from Varun's phone, still live streaming, falling into the water. The light fades, then a muffled scream, "Amma, help me." The end of the fourth level, the despair level. This is the level of unanswered calls for help, of last words stuck in digital data. Not everyone dies immediately. Some know they are coming to an end, every minute, every breath. And it is the moment of realization that kills people from the inside. Do you still want to go on? Because the next level, there is no room for the mind to turn back. Level 5, the torn realm. When the body is just a shell. This is the level where death is not simply an endpoint, but a horrific spectacle, where the human form is distorted, torn to pieces, and stripped of its humanity. The footage here is no longer proof of life being cut off, but a chilling reminder that sometimes death comes from a body that is no longer one's own. 1. Screaming in the Concrete, Romania, 2022. Alexei Stanța is a war correspondent who has covered conflict zones. During a reporting assignment in the bombed-out city of Tulcea, he breaks into a ruined apartment building to find exclusive footage. His dashcam records his every step down into the dusty basement where light barely penetrates. Suddenly, a screeching sound rips through the air. The frame shows the moment the concrete ceiling above collapses. Alexei's body is trapped between two floors, the sound of bones breaking echoing. What's terrifying is that the camera continues to record for another 3 minutes, only the sound of breathing gradually fading, then silence. 2. The appearance of the roar, Sweden, 2018. The Kalmar forest is avoided by locals at night, yet two students, Elias and Marco, chose it as the location for their sleepover challenge video. It started off normally. They set up a tent, lit a fire, and fooled around. But around the 19-minute mark, a small scratching sound was heard from outside the tent. The sound became clearer. Something was gnawing at the wood. Marco turned the camera toward the sound, only to see a long tear in the tent's canvas. A dry, shriveled arm emerged from it and yanked Marco out. Elias screamed and ran from the tent, but his camera fell back. The video ended with a jerky footstep, a soft groan, and a dark figure crawling across the lens. Marco was never found, and Elias's remains were discovered 7 days later, curled up against a tree. 3. The Last Minutes in the Mirror, Argentina, 2020. Luciana, a 26-year-old woman, is struggling with post-traumatic stress after a serious accident. One day, she turns on her live stream, stands in front of her bathroom mirror, and talks to her viewers, talking about her loneliness and feeling like she is no longer human. Her face is calm, until the image in the mirror starts to move out of sync with her real movements. The other end of the mirror smiles when Luciana does not. A trail of blood begins to drip from the corner of the reflection's mouth. Luciana turns her head, but there is no one behind her. When the police enter the house, they find her dead in the bathtub, her body showing no signs of external injuries. But the livestream camera, which her friends had saved, is still there. In the final frame, the reflection is still looking straight at the camera, smiling. 4. The Hand of Nightmare, Philippines, 2023. In a remote village on the island of Mindoro, a group of villagers excavate ancient land to build a market. In the recorded video, they are laughing and joking before discovering a strangely carved stone buried deep underground. They use shovels to break the soil, and then a screech echoes from the ground like a sound compressed for centuries. One of the workers, Raphael, is pulled back into the newly opened deep hole. The others scream but cannot stop it. One person's camera falls, lands on its side, and records the shadow of an unusually long hand with sharp claw-like nails, emerging and disappearing. No one dares to return to the camera. Raphael was never found. The government denies it, but the villagers have since left in droves. The video, leaked online, once caused an entire forum to shut down due to the number of people suffering from mental breakdown. 5. The Moment of Fracture, Japan, 2021. During a filming of a reality show about abandoned buildings, a three-man crew visits an old cement factory in Miyazaki Prefecture. As they step onto the third floor, which has been declared unsafe, the concrete floor suddenly crumbles. A handheld camera captures one person falling first, hitting a metal bar protruding from the floor below. He survives for a few minutes, waving his arms feebly. The other person rushes to pull and slips along. The camera then falls 7 meters, still capturing their groans, mixed with the rustling sounds of what remains of them. The fifth floor, when the body betrays the soul. The human body is supposed to be the perfect machine, but here it is a cage of nightmares. Every image, every moment recorded shows the most cruel thing, when the soul still remains, but the body has been distorted, torn from its original identity. Do you think you can bear it? Because from here on, everything will only become more distorted and further removed from humanity. Level 6. The Soul. Level left behind. When the haunting never disappears. When death tears the body apart, it can take the soul with it. But at this level, the soul is not completely swept away. They are trapped. They linger. They cry out through sounds, images, and disturbances in space, and the video captures moments that lead to a chilling admission that there is something after death, and it never really goes away. The Room That Doesn't Respond. Ireland, 2019. Maeve Callahan, a young woman vlogging 72 hours in a haunted mansion on the outskirts of Galway, was meant to attract viewers with her fantasy scenes. But on the second night, the camera caught her sitting in the room guest, radioed the technician outside the control car. No one answered. She tried again. And this time a whisper answered, male or female. But the volume echoed from inside the room, not through the radio. She turned her head facing herself, or rather a distorted image of herself sitting in the chair opposite. The video ended with a scream and a sudden flip. Maeve was found the next morning, unconscious, panicked, and unable to speak for the next 3 months. But the most horrifying detail was that no one recognized the video, who was actually sitting in front of the camera at that time. 2. Footsteps on the Water Floor, Canada, 2017. In the basement of an old swimming pool in Quebec, a group of construction survey students filmed the hallway leading to the pump house, which had been closed since the 1970s. As they neared the end of the hallway, the camera picked up footsteps, even though all three were standing still. One of them, Leon, approaches the end wall with a large crack. He says someone is calling him. Only he can hear it. When the other two turn around, Leon is gone. The metal door behind him has slammed shut. The abandoned camera is still recording. The final moment is an image of Leon standing behind the opaque glass, tapping on the door as if asking for help. But what is most haunting, his eyes no longer have black pupils. 3. Old Mirror, Turkey, 2020. A group of antique hunters buy a mirror cabinet from an abandoned monastery. When they put it in the showroom and film a video introducing it, strange things start to happen. Breathing sounds behind the camera, flickering lights, and most importantly, the reflection in the mirror often does not match the reality. In the final shot, one of the craftsmen, Daria, accidentally stands in front of the mirror alone. The camera clearly records the image in the mirror 2 seconds later, and then it acts differently. The mirrored copy reaches up, places his hand on Daria's neck, and squeezes. She collapses as blood drips down her shirt. The police confirm that no one is inside the showroom, but the video clearly shows the reflection looking straight into the lens and smiling faintly. 04. The 13th Floor. That Never Exists. Malaysia, 2018. A hotel maintenance worker films himself checking a faulty elevator. He is told to go to the 14th floor, but the control panel automatically lights up the 13th floor, a floor that is not included in the building's plans. The body cam records as the door opens, leading to a long hallway covered in dim red lights. Along the hallway, there are doors without handles. A sound echoes, bare feet on stone floors. He calls, but no one answers. A door opens by itself. Inside is a room where the camera records the shadow of a person or something crawling along the wall like a giant lizard. When he ran away, the elevator disappeared. He was missing for 3 days and was found on the roof, his feet scratched, whispering, "The 13th floor is a place." 5. Whispers on an old radio, Chile, 2021. An artist who collects antique equipment posted a video testing a radio from 1949. While filming, he set the frequency to the dead zone, an area without modern signals. Suddenly, the static turned into sound, a lullaby, in an unknown language. The camera clearly recorded the artist's face changing, his skin pale, his eyes wide open as if remembering something that did not belong to the present. He burst into tears, saying nonsense about the abandoned child, the flooded basement, the scream from the mother's womb. The video ended with him smashing the radio, screaming, and passing out. The doctor confirmed that there were no signs of illness, but then he lost the ability to sleep completely, always waking up every time he closed his eyes because he heard that song ringing in his head. Level 6, when the soul is no longer yours. You used to think that after death, everything would end, but here it was just the beginning. The torn pieces of the soul lurk in this level, waiting for the right frequency, a sideways glance, or an accidental memory to rekindle. And if you feel someone standing behind you as you read this, then congratulations, you have entered the 6th level, where memories do not belong to you, but are reclaiming life. Level 7, the undefined level. When reality disintegrates in a final look. When all the upper levels have been penetrated, when the soul is broken and the body is torn apart, we no longer fall but float in a nameless space. Here there is no direction, no time, and no identity. This is the void, where all boundaries are erased and reality becomes a traitor. This layer is not captured by a camera. Rather, the camera and the person filming are drawn into the frame, becoming an inseparable part of the horror. 1. The Door to Nowhere, Iceland, 2021. Einar Thorson, a photographer with a passion for wilderness, embarks on a solo journey into the frigid mountains near Veravellir. In his final vlog, Einar enters the misty white mist and comes across a rotten wooden door, standing alone in the middle of a snowy field. No frame, no walls, no trace of any structures around it. The camera in his hand captures the moment Einar opens the door, but instead of turning around behind him as usual, the frame suddenly changes direction, as if someone is standing on the other side, turning around. The viewer feels like they are being stared at through the screen, and then Einar walks through the door. Everything goes dark, only the sound of wind. The camera falls into the snow. But a few seconds later, it is picked up again by a hand covered in ice, without fingernails. Einar never returns. But then, every 13 months, the video automatically plays on his channel, even though the account has been deleted. 02. Shadowless Singing, Venice, 2020. While live streaming at Campo Santa Maria Formosa, a Polish tourist couple recorded a strange woman singing under a street lamp. She was dressed in black, holding a violin, singing in ancient Latin with a mournful melody. The cameraman walks around. The audience clearly sees no one on the ground, but what makes the video famous is that at 44 seconds, when the cameraman pans towards the glass of the store across the street, in the reflection the girl is not singing but standing still, her arms hanging down and a red string tied tightly around her neck. 3 days later, the video disappeared from the platform. But many people claim to have downloaded it. They say that every time they turn it on to watch it again, the singing still plays, but the melody gradually becomes distorted like a moan. And the singer has turned around, looking straight at the viewer. 3rd, Data Room 404, South Korea, 2022. During a data leak investigation by the Digital Research Institute in Seoul, technical staff member Lee Ji-won was assigned to check the faulty camera and server. The final video recorded him entering the 404 server room, a room not on the architectural map. Within 3 minutes, the image begins to flicker. A child appears behind him, pale skin, empty black eyes, arms holding what appears to be a human body part. But at that moment, the camera screeches to life, and all the other cameras begin to show the same image, though they are not directly connected. At the last minute, the lens seems to be controlled, slowly panning towards the door, then back into the camera as if it is being watched. Lee Ji-won disappears without a trace, but whenever someone opens the video in the system, the camera turns on by itself, even though the power has been removed. Radio Without Face, Brazil, 2023. A street performer in São Paulo performs a resurrection in concrete act. He is buried alive in a metal box, promising to be rescued in 2 minutes. But according to video recorded by the audience, the knocking inside begins to fade after only 40 seconds. When the box was opened, all that remained was the porcelain mask. No body, no blood. The crowd erupted. Some people reported seeing a headless man in a black suit standing on a street corner. Another spectator's camera, shooting from the opposite direction, captured it clearly. As the mask was lifted for a moment at the bottom of the box, a pair of eyes stared out from the concrete below, then blinked slightly. The pipe is not human, Romania, 2020. In a leaked video from a Bucharest metro construction site, a snake-bodied camera was lowered into an old abandoned Soviet-era pipe. At first, the image was just brick walls and running water, but by the 7th clip, a flashlight beam revealed something moving. What initially looked like a rat turned out to be an arm, 3 times longer than a human. It didn't run away, but crawled back towards the camera. As you get closer, the lights flicker, the image distorts. The video ends as the thing covers the lens, but before it goes dark, the last 1/24th of a second is split to reveal the face of the camera operator, eyes wide in panic, but reflected from inside the screen. The unknown, when reality is no longer mine. When you look at the screen and it starts to feel like it's looking back at you, when a video seems to be recording you from the other side, and when the darkness from within the frame starts to spread out, you've entered the unknown. This is no longer the physical world, but a place where every memory, every gaze, every thought is copied and becomes a door. And if you feel yourself being stared at right now, don't turn around. Turn off the video, if you can. Are you still here, after all you've seen? If so, perhaps you understand. The scariest thing is not death, but the moment before it, when you realize you will never escape. Each video in the abyss is not just a scene. They are broken mirrors, reflecting what we refuse to see, the truth that there are things in this world that are beyond logic, beyond science, and beyond the boundaries of humanity. You have heard the laughter of those who will never return home. You have seen the last panicked look before the darkness swallows. You have felt the moment when reality begins to crack, not with a bang, but with a silence so chilling, as if everything life has just frozen in the blink of an eye. And if you feel like you're not yourself after watching, don't worry, you're not alone. Because there's a truth we've been hiding all the way to the bottom. Every time you watch these videos, even if it's just on a screen, a part of you is being recorded. A part of your eyes reflects fear, a part of your soul is wavering, a part of your memory is being marked. And sometimes, just sometimes, things on the other side are watching you too. If you feel a chill down your spine when you're alone in an elevator, if you hear your name called in the shower, if your phone camera turns on at 3 a.m., don't be afraid. It's just a lingering memory of what you just saw. It's just darkness tells us what you guys should. If you're still here, please leave a comment, share this video with someone brave enough to follow you to the bottom of this iceberg. And if you haven't subscribed to Darkness Tells, it's time to do so, because on the next level there will be no more warnings. It will be just you, the screen, and something creeping up behind you. We'll be back. But are you sure you'll be the same person next time?